Bismillah. I am planning to conduct today's session as our last session, but go live session here. My plan is to set up one office hours for you guys, not this week, but actually next week. So I am planning to set it up for coming the next Friday, which will be August 7th. And I'll send you guys an email. That is, it's not a it will not be a mandatory attendance one, but if you guys have any questions, concerns, or anything you would like to discuss with me, I'm available. So I'll be sending you guys, the meeting invite.
Bhai, what about the CLI?
CLI, yes, we're gonna do it today. CLI.
You're going to do it today?
Yes, here it is.
Are you going to do justice to CLI today? Aadha ghanta deke?
Sir, don't worry, man. I'll give an hour.
I didn't mean that way. So anyway, thank you guys once again.
Sure. Right. So yeah, so today's agenda, we're gonna be doing hands-on labs today. I'm gonna be covering AWS Autoscaling. Along with that, AWS load balancers, or ELB, what they call it. And then AWS CLI, plus there's another CLI tool that's called Terraform. So I'm gonna cover quite a bit of it just to give you guys a taste of that. On the CLI front, Terraform is not the only tool. There are tons and tons out there. It all depends on you or your organization. So it's pretty much similar, like, any programming language, you pick one, you understand that, then you can move on to the next one. It's pretty much a similar principle. Okay, so let's start off with the auto scaling. Okay, before we start the auto scaling, so you're gonna be receiving an email from me as well. So please save the date. We have a celebration this coming Sunday. It will be about an hour 30 minutes entire session. That's gonna go live on IC Hussaini's YouTube channel, and this is our YouTube link for IC Hussaini. There will be a speech by the Maulana, and all the trainers, all 5 of us, were gonna be pitching in something for maybe 5-10 minutes, and then there are couple of committee members we are actually inviting. We have invited them already, so they're gonna be covering. One of our invitee guests is gonna cover the future state of IT, and another one is just like Rizwan Bhai came in a couple of weeks back. He talked about his venture and the technical and all that. So we have another community member here in Chicago. So he's going to talk about, and he will be the keynote speaker. He's going to talk about where they are seeing the IT going, and what they are currently working on. So please join us. Spread the word to your community, to your family members. Join us with your family members as well. And so this is our first celebration of our first online session that we delivered. Previous sessions that we delivered, none of them was online, none of them was recorded, and the response that we receive, from you guys, plus people from pretty much all over the world, came in and joined us. So I cannot insist more. Take some time out, an hour or so in your busy schedule. So this coming Sunday, 10 a.m. Central or Chicago time. Ready? And you're going to be receiving a reminder in email as well. Probably will send it tomorrow so that it will stay fresh in your mailboxes. All right, so come back to our technology, AWS Autoscaling. So what it does, what it offers. um, although I covered that already when we talk about it. So you have defined your minimum capacity or minimum size, and then a desired, and then scale out or maximum. However you want to go to. So that covers your, let's say, your business is going steady and all of a sudden your business starts seeing the spikes. So instead of scrambling around and having problems and all that. So a couple of configurations here and there within the AWS console, and you are good to go for the upcoming spike into the capacity. So Amazon handles it all very well for you. So that's the capability of this auto scaling. Um, Come on, do I have those three here? And then we're gonna be logging into the EC2 console for us, not EC2. I don't know what's happening to me today. We're gonna be logging into the AWS console and look into all those S3 or sorry Route 53 products what Amazon offers. We're going to look into those. Plus, we're going to look into the routing policies as well. And before the AWS CLI, we're going to go do some lab on the elastic load balancers or ELB, how the load balancers are configured and how do they like what is the algorithm do they use to transmit or balances the load among the instances that are running underneath it. Okay, and then in the end, we're going to be doing AWS CLI, which is the command line, how to configure, how to play around with it, all those things we're going to be doing. Plus, IAC is um, this thing is in very much demand these days. I would suggest you guys to spend some time on it. Those who have um, either not worked in the cloud area or just stepping in. IAC stands for infrastructure as a code. So right now, whatever you are seeing here, like we go into the console, click, 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 and we have the EC2 available. Click, 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 and VPC created, and then subnets created, and all those information is there. Uh, Behind the scene, from the console, it's all code. It is all the code that goes into the AWS infrastructure, and get the entire infrastructure built out for you into the cloud. They expanded that capability to you in as well. And there are a couple of tools, and so IAC, which is infrastructure as a code. So whatever you're working on, let's say you build the EC2 instances, you build your S3 bucket, you build your entire network infrastructure or security infrastructure. So you can just type the code and turn it into a piece of code there for you, and you push it, it will deploy it for you. You push another button or you click another key, and it will all just bring it down to the ground for you. So whatever the exercises we did for the last 9 or 12 classes into the console, everything can be done through the code as well. The code is not that that require any coding skills. It's just pretty straightforward and very easy to understand. Okay, so we're gonna look into that. And there's one example of that deployment. HashiCorp is the company that came up with this Terraform. And so I'm gonna, we're gonna do an exercise on that as well. Okay. And there are, some cores as well, and we're gonna look into those. So I'm gonna quickly log into the console. Right. So here I am into the console, and let me increase the size here. All right, so first what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set up the elastic load balancer. And before we set up the load balancer, all right, so I am in North Virginia. You can pick any region, whatever is convenient to you. And I'm gonna do is uh, I'm gonna create about 3 different Linux instances. Okay, and I'll tell you the reason behind that. Okay. So right now I have two instances already running, so let's not worry about them. So I'm gonna click on launch instance, and gonna go down. Amazon recently made some changes. Previously, Amazon Linux used to come to the front. Right, so I picked one instance. Did I pick the free tier one? Okay. Okay. All right, so free tier instance T2 micro. Okay. Although remember in yesterday's exercise, what we did is, um, we did create some three, I think three instances in our custom VPC that was in North California. But here, I'm just picking the default one. So you guys got the understanding that how the public and private differentiate and how do they work. Okay. So here I am just, picking, I'm going to start off with one instance here. And if I scroll down here under the advanced details, you see this user data. So by the time the instance is being built, I can provide some code so that instead of me logging in and then typing that code, I can simply get that code already, or all those commands set up either as a text in this box or attach a file or input which is a base64 code. So what I'm gonna do is just to show you guys where did my text file go? I have the code somewhere. Okay. Did I lose it or what? Give me 1 second. Let me just, if not there, then I'll just, simply go do this. Okay. So since I'm, building the Linux, so it actually uh, picks up the bash shell command. So shebang. So our bash shell scripts, they normally start with, hash sign and then bang, and then, the path of the bash. They normally call it shebang and then, bin bash. The bash is, residing at this location. So this will be considered as a shell script to this Amazon, console, and it will, execute them as a shell script. So what I'm gonna do is normally, if you remember when we did the very first web server in Linux, I had to install the web server and then created the file under var www html directory. I created the file index.html, and that file had the the content for me. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I am providing it a command to install httpd -y is answer all those questions as why, so that um, it will not actually ask you, or wait for your, for the user input. So this will install that for me. And then what I'm doing here is I'm going to echo, let's say, uh, this is my first web server. Okay, I'm going to echo this. I am not putting any HTML code here. I am redirecting this output to var www html index.html file. Okay, so it will push this line into the HTML file. Okay, let's just leave it here as is, and then I'm gonna restart the web server. Okay, so the command is systemctl restart httpd. Okay, so these are the commands I am actually passing to that to this web server which I am creating. What I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll to the top here. Let's just create 3 web servers. Okay, or maybe let's just create three web servers. Okay, all right. So these are the commands which I normally go in there and then, edit and all that or type there. So these all will be, taken care once I, get the access to the instance. Okay. Next is the add storage. I'm going to just leave it as is, but whatever the default is. Tags, let's just give them a tag as name. So the only problem with this is all three instances will have the similar tag. Then I will have to, edit that. Okay. So let's just name it as Linux web server uh, behind load balancer. Okay. All right, so I'm going to click next, configure the security. If you remember, we already have a security group created that has access to port 80 and port 22. Next, review and launch. Everything is fine. Click launch, pick the My Linux PPK, acknowledge that, launch instances. All right, so it is going to launch all three instances for me. Okay, if I just scroll down in here, so bring it down in here, you see that these three Linux instances are being launched. Okay, click on the first one, it has a public DNS. Second one also has a public DNS. Third one, sorry, third one, similar thing as a public, all three of them, they have a public DNS. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna just refresh that. All right, so all three instances are running. So what I'm gonna do is, let me just rename this. Okay, I'm gonna rename this as, I'm gonna name it as one, name it as two, okay, and name this one as three. Okay, so these are the three Linux web servers we have just created. Okay, all right, so if I click on this one, for the first one, I'm gonna copy the URL here, or the public DNS, and I'm gonna open a new tab here, paste it in here, right? So what I am seeing that the web server is running, and it is giving me a message that this is my first web server. Now the problem here is, if I go do this on the second one, okay, and in a newer window, if I just paste it there, it has the same thing. It is, telling me this is my first web server. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is, just to show you guys how load balancers work, I'm gonna edit these like SSH into all three of them, and then edit this index HTML file. And with that HTML file, I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna just edit that specific information. So the first web server behind load balancer, let's just leave this one as, which is saying this is my first web server. I'm gonna go to the second one here. I am going to SSH into it. So I'm gonna open up my my PuTTY window. Okay. So PuTTY is on here, and I'm gonna just sudo myself. And remember, the file was in var www html directory. You see that the file is there, index.html. If I cat the file, it is telling me this is the content. So I'm going to vi the file index.html. Okay. How about we change it to make it like header? And at the end, I'm going to do this /h1. And let's just name it as, this is my second web server, and I put it in uppercase. Okay. System. Do I need to restart that? Or probably not, but let's just look into that. All right. So this is my second web server. Okay. So I'm going to log off from here, and I'm going to log into the third one, and let's just do similar thing. Okay. Copy it, go to the PuTTY. Okay. Sudo myself as root vi or www index.html file, and let's make it as h2 slash h2, and let's just call it as third web server. Okay, just to keep things separate out. Let me just copy the URL here, go to our browser and open this one here. All right, so this is what I'm gonna see on the third web server. So first web server will have this, second is this, third is this. Okay, all three servers, they have the all three web servers are currently running. Like they have the they are serving me those index HTML files. All right, so I am going back into the console. Okay, here these three servers are created, one web server behind LB, second and the third. Okay, what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna scroll down here under the EC2, like EC2 dashboard, scroll down here at the very bottom. You see two things. You see the load balancers, and underneath it you see the auto scaling. Okay, so let's play around a little bit with the load balancers. I'm going to click on load balancers. All right, so I have no load balancer created at this time. If I click on target group, it is all blank as well. Okay, so I'm going to click on load balancers first and then click on create load balancer. All right, so there are two types of, don't worry about this classic one. There are two types of load balancers we are being offered. HTTP, or which is the application layer load balancer. If you guys remember, application layer is in the OSI model, application layer is the layer 7, which is the top layer, okay? And then second load balancer they are offering is the network load balancer, which works at the layer 3, okay? So it gives me the capability of layer 4 capability as well, TCP, UDP, and also the TLS capability. And we can use, choose the network load balancer when I need ultra high performance and, offloading, whatever, okay? I am not going to work on this one today. I want you guys to experiment on this network load balancer, okay? I'm gonna do the lab on the application, and I want you guys to, do a couple of labs by yourself on this, and then also, play around with the network load balancer as well, okay? So application load balancer, I'm gonna click create. Okay, what is the name of my load balancer? Okay, so let me just do one thing. I'm gonna go into the paint. All right, so right now we have web server 1, web server 2, web server 3, and if I try to connect from the internet, I can access this one, I can access this one, or I can access this one. All three servers I can access individually, okay? Now let's say google.com, although it is showing, when I connect to it, google.com, it is, connecting me there. But it does not guarantee that Google has only one server serving the entire nation or entire world, okay? They have like, several, I think over millions, several hundred millions or maybe some billions of hits they get in a day for their google.com. So if they have like, let's say, I'm just throwing out numbers here. Let's say they have like 5,000 servers, then they will have to, set up like, google1.com or 1.google.com, 2.google.com or 3.google.com. So in order to, get away with this problem, so there is a thing called load balancer that actually resides between your server and the internet. So the internet connects to the load balancer, and then based on the algorithm set underneath it, the load balancer balances the load to instance 1 or instance 2 or instance 3 or whatever, however many instances do I have there. Okay. All right. So here, let's say this is google.com, this is server 1, this is server 2, server 3, and then so on and so forth. So people are going to connect to the google.com, which is hosted at the load balancer, and then load balancer sends the request underneath it. Okay. All right, so in our case, we have our 1, 2, and 3 Linux web servers. We tested that we are able to connect to them directly through the internet. Now we are creating a load balancer, and from the internet or from my machine, we're gonna hit that load balancer, and that load balancer will connect us to the web server underneath it. Okay. All right. So I wanted to name this as, let's say, Faisal. Let's see. Let's try with Faisal. Let's see if it picks this one up. Okay. All right. So scheme, it is giving me two schemes. One is the internet facing, and another one is the internal one. Internet facing, as the name suggests, that it will expose to the outside world or to the internet. So anything residing underneath it, um, internet, once the request comes to the load balancer, it will go down and then fetch the request and then serve it to the internet, or let's say to me in this case. Internal only is that it will not be exposed to the outside world. It will be exposed internally, like within the VPC boundary or whatever the boundaries we define. Okay. So let's say within my corporate environment. So let's say in my corporate office, if I wanted to hit, let's say my corporate dot or my corporate.com. Okay. So that will hit the load balancer if I'm in the office location or within that network, and then it will serve me. But let's say if I'm outside, not connected to the VPN or something, then this request will not, come down here and it will not be, fulfilled. So we're gonna start with the we're gonna do this exercise for this internet facing one. What is the IP address you want to assign? Do you want to assign IPv4 or dual stack? Dual stack means that both IPv4 and IPv6 IP addresses, if I assign to it. Since I am playing around with IPv4, so let's just, assign the IP4 here. All right, so here in the listener, it is giving me two options, okay? That it will listen to either HTTP, which is the port 80, which is the unsecured port, and the other one is HTTPS, which is the secure port that runs on port 443. Okay, if I just pick HTTPS, it'll pick 443 here, or let's say my application is running on some custom port, so I can define that port number here. Since our applications, our web servers, they are running and listening to the default 80 port, so I pick this one here. Okay, so I can add additional one. Let's say I have some other protocol, or let's say any other let's say port 8080 or some other port my application is listening on. I can add that as well. Okay. All right. So availability zone. Since I am building it all in North Virginia, so it picked North Virginia and it picked the VPC, the default VPC, although we have another one here. Since we created our instances of our web servers in the default one, so let's just leave it as is. Now in the availability zone, I have to decide and tell, hey, what, let's say all my web servers are residing on US East 1E, then I can just, tell my load balancer to hit all those servers here. Or let's say I have my web servers residing in 1A, 1E, and 1F. Okay. Then I will have to define it here that, these are the three AZs where my web servers are residing. So the load balancer will hit, either of them, whichever, it gets hold on to. So let's just check all five of them. Oh, sorry, all six of them. Now, when I pick US East 1A, it is telling me the IPv4 address. This is assigned by AWS. Like this subnet is created by AWS since we picked the default VPC. In your case, let's say if you still have that VPC that you created for public and private, let's say you created like a couple more publics, and then a couple more subnets you added there, then you can play around and architect it accordingly. So this is like one basic example here. So I picked all six of them, right? So add on services. If I want to create an accelerator, let's not worry about it. So if I drop down on tags, if I wanted to give a tag to this load balancer, so let's just give it a name tag. Let's just name it as my training LB. or load balancer. Okay, next, configure the security group. Okay, our current security group, it is open. That's why it is giving me the warning here. Select the security group. Remember, so we're gonna pick my security group, our training security group. Okay.
Faisal bhai, a real quick question for you.
Sure.
So on the previous slide or the previous step,
Yep.
we are where do we do the geo blocking or something like that, or do we even have that option?
Not here in this. That option is in the Route 53, that geolocation containment that you mostly do it over there. Plus here, you can do it, in a different way. How? Through the security groups. Let's say I define that, only this IP block be able to access me. Okay, or only IPs, let's say only the IPs coming from the US be able to access me, or only the IPs coming from, let's say, Bahrain be able to access me. So you can, define it in the security group. That's where, that specific, IP block be able to, you access it. Otherwise, the rest will not be able to.
Okay, thank you.
And how you want to find out that what is the public IP block for Bahrain, or let's say for Sydney, or for any specific area, you can Google it, and you get the list. That this country has this block or CIDR block assigned. Let's say Pakistan has its own, India has its own, and and then with that one bigger block, if it is architected correctly, then they create those chunks. Let's say in Pakistan, let's say chunk A is going to Karachi, chunk B is going is for Islamabad, and chunk C is for some other city. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank
so
you.
yeah, so here you can do this. Like you have to craft it accordingly. But in the in the Route 53, they have that geo geo fencing or geo containment capability there as well. Okay. All right, so I picked this one, security group. Next. All right, so targets. Okay, this is asking me to set the routing that where are my targets, where I am going to send this these requests to. Okay, so right now we do not have any target groups, so we are creating one. Let's just name it as my ELB target group. Okay, it could be based on instance, it could be based on IP address, or it could be based on Lambda function. Okay, we're gonna just pick based on instance. What protocol? HTTP or HTTPS? Okay, let's say your load balancer is running on HTTPS, but your the web servers underneath it, they are running HTTP, or it could be HTTPS. Okay. All right, so for the health checks, what protocol and what is the path? Let's say I am, serving not the slash means that, the path of, or the root path of the web server. See, like var www HTML, that's the root path. Like anything running under or sitting under the slash HTML, that will be, the root path. Let's say I have, a couple of folders underneath it, and then I have, that the index file, sitting there. Then I will, define the path here, that, which under which directory I have to go and, look for that index file. Okay. Same thing, protocol, whatever the protocol is. Okay. Advanced health check, we'll just, I'll just quickly go over that. So health checks is, it will wait for how many seconds for it to qualify that server as healthy or unhealthy. Okay. Like it will send the health beacon or health pings to them, to the servers underneath it. And if, let's say, I set up as 2 or 5, so let's say within 2 minutes, if this load balancer did not receive back the health status, then it will mark it as unhealthy, and it will not send any request which is coming from the internet to the load balancer. It will not send that request, to that server. Okay. And it will keep on checking, and then, up to what point, it has to stop, and up to what point it has to, keep doing it. This is all about the health checks. Okay. What is the success code? So this is the HTML success code. Let's say I wanted to have, the web server in 200 is the code. I mean, um, web servers have, certain codes, like 404 is that file not found. It tried to hit that file, but the file was not there. So 404 is there. 500 is the bad gateway. 200 is the success code, that the file is there, or the server is responding. So now you might want to look into those HTML codes, or web server codes that has, there's a long list of items there. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna click next, which is the last step. It is to register targets. Register targets is for the load balancer, the web servers running underneath it. So these are the targets where it is going to hit. So I need to, like, from the list, I need to attach them to that load balancer. Otherwise, the web servers, they are currently sitting there and serving individually. Okay.
Faisal, why does the previous option, does it have any alerting facility where if the server comes up unhealthy for so many seconds or so many tries, it sends a alert to the administrator or somebody like that? Does it have that feature or not?
We have to set up through the CloudWatch. I've not gone in details on that, but I'm sure it will, because it looks for the success code. If the success code is not there, that it will it will respond back. Kamal bhai.
Selvai, just a quick comment. In CloudWatch alarm, you can set up a alarm to look for the unhealthy status. Once the alarm is picked by CloudWatch, in CloudWatch, you can set up an action to send an email or call a Lambda and whatnot.
Okay, so that's an add-on tool.
It's built in.
Built in there.
Yeah, okay, it's part of the CloudWatch configuration.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
And I'm gonna, yeah. Let me finish this piece, and then I'll show you, where does it show you all those, monitoring metrics for you. Okay. All right. So next is register target. So right now, if I scroll, right now we do not have any instances associated here. If I scroll down here, you see that there are 5 instances it is showing me, because they all are residing in the North Virginia region. Okay. So I'm not gonna pick our Windows or Red Hat server. Okay. I'm gonna pick these 3 web servers. If I come on, where is it? So these 3 web servers, which we named as, behind the load balancer, I'm going to pick those. Okay. On which port I'm going to connect? I'm going to connect to port 80, and I'm going to click on add register. As soon as I add them, all 3 of them, they are added there. Okay. So now they are attached to the load balancer. All right. So I'm going to click next to review all those configs, and then create. So right now it is in the provisioning state. It will take maybe a minute or 2 to complete that provisioning. By the time it is being provisioned, if I scroll up in here, so you see that this is the name, this is the DNS name, Faisal-whatever number.us, right? So instead of, remember, if I go to so here I was connecting directly to the instance public DNS. Okay. Now, instead of connecting them directly or individually, we're gonna connect to this DNS name. This is the A record. So let it finish provisioning here. And if I just do it now, I don't think that I'll be able to pull that. Yeah, it cannot.
URL with us too.
What?
You can share that URL with us.
Yes,
You
I
can
am.
see how many people got 1, 2, or 3 machines.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna show you guys as well. That's why uh, all three web servers, we have three different font sizes and three different, the content in it, right? Second with an uppercase, third with, third as well. Like this is H2, this is H1, and this is just, regular, text content there, okay? So let's go back to that, refresh it, still provisioning, give it some more time. By the time it's being refreshed or provisioned, so it is telling me, the other information about it as well, where it is residing, what is running underneath it, hosted zone, then security, and the rest of the information here. If I scroll up and monitoring, um, Ashfaq bhai, to answer your question, you can see some of the things here, and then I do not have the CloudWatch alarm configured, what Kamal Bhai was talking about. So what it is showing me here, the data is target response request rules, and then HTTP error codes. If I'm getting any 500 code or 400 or load balancer 500 or 400, and all those web server related content there, TLS negotiations, or if there's any negotiation errors at the target side or at the client side, and then HTTP code. So it is kind of extensive, as a canned one that you see here. I can create alarm, and then based on that I can get that alarm, send me the message accordingly.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
Then tags is, this is the tag we created. Integrated services, not gonna go in details here. We can use the AWS WAF, which is Web Application Firewall. So Amazon offers a firewall service, firewall capability. We can configure and use that, along with this load balancer, and then config another AWS service, and then global accelerator service as well.
My web page came.
Okay, so if I just refresh it, yeah, you see that it is active now. You see it is active, and if I go into the monitoring, although it will take some time for us to start showing in here. So I'm gonna go to our load balancer URL. Okay, I hit enter. Right. So what I'm doing here is I am refreshing the page. Every time I refresh, most probably I'm gonna hit another web server. Okay, I refresh it once. This is my first web server. Refresh it again, 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 again. So every time I refresh, I am getting a new web page. So this is telling me that it is hitting among those three web servers one at a time every time I refresh that. So you guys have that in the chat as well, and you can look into the URL, or like pull up the URL on your web browser. Once you have that, either you click or refresh on the web browser, or hit the F5 key on your keyboard. So F5, F5, keep doing that, and it will do the similar thing, and it will showing me those web servers there. Okay, so but connecting to these web servers behind the load balancer or ELB, it does not tell me that I cannot connect them directly. If I have the IP address, or if I have the URL, if I have the DNS name, I can still be able to connect to them directly. Okay, but so let's take this URL as an example, that this is the google.com, and we have three servers underneath it. So however time we're connecting, it is serving us right now. It is serving us three different web pages, because I wanted to show you guys. Otherwise, all three web servers have similar web pages. So no matter what web server I hit, I'm gonna get the similar response there. Okay. I hope this clarifies to you guys. Any question on this?
Right. If you don't mind, just because there are some some of the individuals who were on the web class as well as in here. I want to take an opportunity. Faisal bhai, if you could go back to the web, paint that you have.
Yes.
The paint.
Oh, paint. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So if you can take all these 3 EC2s and connect to one database.
Okay. Let me give you a control here, Kamal bhai.
Uh,
Or tell me what do you want?
Just take this 1, 2, 3 boxes and connect them into one RDS instance.
Okay. All right. So you're talking about like one RDS here.
And all 3 of all 3 of them will connect to one RDS.
Okay. So one RDS instance and connect all 3 there.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right. So
Yes.
this way I can provide my web application redundancy.
Yes.
Okay. I have a local redundancy from my application. For those who are working on the web application Munazaf, I can have my Munazaf application running on 3 different EC2s. Each of that application will serve the same application, same code, same web pages. It will work the same way, and they will all get the data from one database. This is like a very traditional pattern for providing a redundant solution for an application, local HA. Thank you, Faisal.
No problem. No problem.
So one question: if we would have set up HTTPS, like using its protocol and stuff, can we do the same in this case, like replicate the same lab?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
It doesn't even have to be just HTTP or HTTPS. The experimentation that Faisal bhai is asking you to do, you can do that for any given application that's available through TCP. Any application server can be designed this way.
Right. And one more thing, because we are using this this URL which is named on Faisal, how do we mask it to like a particular website like google.com or abccompany.com?
So
We'll get to that.
yeah, there are actually a couple of ways, and I actually forgot to copy that diagram which we had in our previous one. Let me pull that up real quick, and this is what I was gonna show you guys after the auto scaling. But that's good that you asked that question. Let me just find that one in here. You see that in here, right? So what you are seeing here is I have okay, don't worry about this piece. Okay, so we have configured a load balancer. Underneath the load balancer, we have 3 web servers running, right? We are trying to hit that load balancer here, and then it is serving me from whatever the web servers we have underneath it. Okay. To not expose this load balancer IP or the host name to the outside world, that's where we have the Amazon Route 53, which is a DNS service. So let's say with the DNS service, once we go into the DNS, Route 53, let's say I register a domain, let's say Faisal.com. Okay. I hosted Faisal.com here on Route 53. And then I connected Faisal.com to the load balancer, which we just created. Okay. And with the, and then, we have the web servers running underneath it. So people are going to hit Faisal.com. That is going to hit the Route 53. Route 53 send the request to the load balancer, and then load balancer will, get the data and then serve it outside. So this is how you mask. Okay, that like you don't want to expose your load balancer to the outside world. You mask it that only people hit Faisal.com to the Route 53 and get their work going. Hope I answered your question, Hassan.
Yeah, so that means in Route 53 we will have to put that URL to mask it, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Now, for the people who are in Kamal bhai's class, so you have the web server running. Okay. Let's say you build a 3-tier architecture. where you have a web layer, then you have the application layer, and then you have the database layer. Okay, so or you just build, you know, two-tier architecture that you have a web layer and the database layer. Okay, so these web servers, they are either connected to the another level of load balancer that is connecting to the application server, or these web servers are directly connected to the database here. Okay, so Faisal.com request comes in, went to a load balancer, let's say hit this web server went to the DB server, bring the data back, and then back to the load balancer send it to the Route 53, and then, you know, people, you know, get that data rendered to their, you know, web browsers. Okay, so this is, you know, a classical landscape here for you guys. You have, they have only one database, which is the master database, and it has two replicas going. One is, let's say, going in one zone, and another one is in the other zone. Second thing is, so right now what we did is we created three web servers here connected to the load balancer. Okay, now what in our next, is there a question? Okay. In our next exercise, what we're gonna do, we're gonna add the auto scaling. So soon as the requests, you know, start increasing, and that increases our CPU, or let's say, or our network traffic, it will automatically start generating more and more, however many, you know, we want it, the web servers there. We can have the similar capability of auto scaling on our application server as well. Okay, so this is our next step to, you know, to play around with auto scaling. And our next last one will be to play around with Route 53. Okay, I hope you guys are clear on this. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna go into the console. All right, so since you guys are hitting the this URL already, so if I just refresh it here, so you see that, you know, these this many requests came in, and no 500 errors, 400, this many they started, and then, you know, they're dwindling down. ELBs, no error messages, HTTP, no error messages, and then, you know, no rejection on any of the layers there. 200 messages, active connections, it went up to 20, and then, you know, it went down. Okay, new connection counts, how many bytes were processed, you know, and then load balancers, how many, you know, what is the capacity to consume on this. So this gives me, you know, at least, you know, some level of, you know, monitoring here if I want to just go in there and, you know, check what is happening there. Okay. All right. So before we move on to our auto scaling, which is our next element here, auto scaling, I'm going to be doing actually three exercises with you guys. Okay. All right. So you guys want to take a break, or you want me to continue on it?
Continue, please.
Continue. Okay. Alrighty. All
One
right. So
question, sorry, Faisal bhai. So in auto scaling, what is the maximum utilization like, if we can know? Is that really required? I'm just thinking out loud here. Like, how
you're
much?
talking about this maximum size here?
No. What I mean to say is that if you have 3 servers running, how is it configured automatically? I just want to understand, like 50% utilization, 20% utilization, or it just decided by itself.
That's what we're gonna do now. Let's wait and see.
Okay.
You will get an answer soon as we go do this here. Okay. All right. Mujahid bhai, apologies. Can we take maybe 4 minutes break and then start at 7:10? Right now it's 7:06.
I vote for 5.
Okay.
I'm okay with 5. No worries.
Thank you.
Faisal bhai, since you're talking about CLI, I'm going to share the CLI URL so people can actually download that utility, CLI software on their machines. I'll share it.
You already have it in the. Yeah, I did not share it with them.
Okay, got it.
Here it is. These are the URLs for AWS CLI. Or you can, yeah. paste it on the chat here, Kamal bhai. Let me.
Got it.
All right. So quick 5 minutes break and I'll be right back. Okay. I'm gonna put myself on mute here. Alrighty, I'm back. So Mustafa had a question. If you focus on what you have taught us, will we be able to pass cloud practitioner after studying for it? Yes, you study hard. And if you guys remember the very first class or the second class, I talk about the Amazon FAQs, white papers, their well-architected framework. So I go through those documents. You should be able to, pass it very easily. Alrighty. So if everybody's back, then we can continue on our efforts for the next one, which is the auto scaling. Are you guys able to hear me fine? Let me see. Unmute him. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, we can hear.
Perfect. Alrighty. So I'm going to go back to the console here. And like I said, we're going to be doing at least 2, or if time permits, 3 different exercises here on the auto scaling side. Okay. So here I am in the EC2 dashboard. Okay. Underneath it, at the very bottom, you see the auto scaling, launch config, and auto scaling groups. Like this is the group, and then underneath it, you have 2 things here, or two different fields. So if I click on launch configuration, it is all blank. There's nothing here. And also if I click on auto scaling group, it is all blank. Nothing is here as well. Okay. So I'm gonna go back in here and I'm gonna click on launch configuration. So I'm gonna click on create launch config. It is asking me the name of this. Let's say I name it as my auto scaling group. Okay. Before we go do this, what happens is, let me just quickly go in here. So we have a load balancer. Underneath it, we have 3 web servers, right? This load balancer is connected to these 3 web servers. And then people from the internet are connecting to this load balancer, and that is getting served. And for the auto scaling, we're gonna define, let's say it can go up to, let's say 20 web servers. Okay. Now, in order for us to, set up the auto scaling, it asks us to create a template so that when the auto scaling request comes in, it clone that template and then, churn a new web server for us. Okay. So we can use any of our web server. Let's say all our web servers are of the same template or of the same one. Right now, they all are same when it comes to the OS, but the HTML content is different, across, all 3 of them. So we're gonna pick one of them, turn that into a template. This is what Amazon calls it AMI, or Amazon machine image. Okay. So right now, if I just drop down, it is showing me the default ones, what Amazon is currently offering. And if I scroll to the bottom, I don't see mine here. Okay. Because I have not created one here. Okay. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to just simply go open a new tab here. I'm going to go into the EC2. Okay, make sure that you are in the same region. And what I am doing here is I'm going to click on running instances, and we'll pick one of them. Let's just pick number 1. Okay, drop down the action, and then under the image, you see the create image. So if I click on it, it is going to create a replica or a snapshot or a copy of this. Okay, so let's just name it as my Linux web server. Okay, image description, this is my Linux web server used for this is my Linux web server, that is fine. Okay, for training. Okay, instance volume size, let's just keep it as default, not making any changes to it. I'm going to click on create image. All right, so image request received. All right, so if I scroll down in here under images, I see AMIs. Right now it is pending, it is being created here. Okay, so if I refresh here, it's going to take a couple of minutes, and we'll get the image ready for me. Okay, it has everything into it, and if I go into the permissions or the tags, right now I do not have anything here. Let me just give it a tag here is my AMI. Okay, let's just name it as Faisal AMI. All right, right now its visibility is private. I can turn it into a public. Once I turn it into a public, it will be exposed to the Amazon marketplace, and people can use that, so it will be exposed to the public and people can use that, for their purposes. Okay, so if I refresh it here, so right now it is all complete, so it is available now for me. Okay, all right, so I'm gonna go back in here. I probably will have to refresh it, I guess. I'm gonna go back in here again. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna click on create launch config. Previously, if I remember, you used to have the refresh button here. So let's just name it again. Faisal Autoscaling group. Okay. Autoscaling launch config. Okay. Now under the AMI, if I drop down, so you see that my AMIs and I have my Linux web server which we created, which we cloned. So this clone copy is being shown in here for me. Okay, instance type. If I what is happening? It normally gives me. So I'm gonna pick t2.micro. If you guys remember, t2.micro is the free tier eligible one. And then additional config is, let's say I have any Spot instance which I reserved for myself, or I have some Spot instances. I can pick that. IAM instance, IAM profile. I am not doing it anything on the IAM side today. Okay. Yes, Murtuza, it is kind of similar like ISO image or yeah, ISO image, it's like a software copy of that, of the image. Monitoring is if I want to, enable a detailed monitoring with CloudWatch. When you click on it, be advised that you may incur charges for the detailed one. The base one is, it comes free. I think the 5 or 6 of the items that you get, but for additional one, you will get charged for it. Okay. Not taking the EBS optimize, whatever the optimization I have, I'm going to just pick that one. EBS volume size is this one. That's perfect. Right. If I want to add any additional volume, I can do that as well. Okay. All right. So security group, either I can create a new security group or I can select an existing one. If I drop down, select the one which we already have, my security training, I pick this one. Okay, key pair, choose an existing key pair. Since this is Linux, so I'm gonna just pick my Linux and I acknowledge it, create the launch config. My launch configuration is created. Okay. So if I highlight that here and if I go check the details, so it is telling me all the good information about that, about the instance and what is the storage and all details. Okay. Now this part is complete, launch config. So I'm going to go to the auto scaling group. Okay. Right now I do not have anything. Right. So pricing, you might want to go through this. Although this is free for, I'm going to be picking all the options that are free for,
Faisal, I can ask a couple of questions.
Yes.
So you would want to keep the security group and the key pair and all of that the same as your source instance, right?
Yes.
Okay, so this image that we created is a static image. So if there's anything that changes to the source, this image does not update it, or does it?
Correct. Yes, that is correct. Yes. So starting off with the static, and if you have some dynamic content, then either you create a script that will push it to the to your auto scale instances, or you create a new image or AMI every time you make any changes, and then go and update the launch config there to pick that new AMI instead of the old AMI.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sure. Okay. The question here on the chat about the that I turned off the first web server. I did not turn off the web server. I forgot to SSH into it. So what happened is when we go create the AMI, it actually pauses it for a while. Since pauses the source. So at that time, when you go and hit that browser or when you go into your SSH window, you will not be able to access it because it is taking the snapshot. Snapshot is that point in time copy. So the snapshot is, for that, it freezes that instance for that point, make the snapshot and then releases that. Okay, so that's why you were not able to hit web server 1.
Faisal bhai, will this new image that we just created, would it also have the HTML file that we have on the original one?
Yes, yes, and we're gonna go and see that as well. Once we have complete this auto scaling part. All right, so I'm gonna click on create auto scaling group. Okay, it is asking me for the name, so let's just name it as my auto scaling group. Okay. All right, so launch template, it is asking me for the template. We already have the launch template created, so that's why it is showing there. So I'm going to click on my launch template. All right, what is the version? We have only one version, so it's just picking as default one. This is the description of that. All right, so click on next. There are a couple of steps, on this auto scaling group setup. Okay, you see that all these 6-7 steps here. Purchase options is either adhere to the launch template. What is the launch template? Let's say in that launch template, I pick the on-demand or this part, then it will, pick whatever, we have already, set aside for it. Or I can combine, the purchase options. It could be the on-demand or the Spot instance, I can, define it here as well. So we're gonna just, simply adhere to whatever we picked when we created our template. Okay. On the network side, we are in North Virginia. We have the default VPC, so we're gonna pick that. And then similar thing, subnets, we're gonna pick all these subnets. So it will, pick and choose and then create in different subnets when the when the need arises to to go for the to go with the auto scaling. Okay, next step is the image ID does not exist. What does it mean? Invalid launch template is specified in step 1. Okay. I switch to launch configuration. Okay. Next step is the load balancing. If you guys remember, where is that diagram here? So right now we are doing this part that we already have instances running and then we're expanding it, through the auto scaling. Okay. Now it is giving me an option to enable it behind the load balancer. So what's going to happen is however many instances we're going to be are going to be created as part of the auto scaling, they will also be attached to the load balancer. So let's say right now load balancer is serving 3 instances. Let's say we expand it to 300. So the remainder of them, if we do not attach it with the load balancer, the load balancer will be serving only these 3 instances. Okay. But if we attach them all to the load balancer, then load balancer will have, instead of 3, it will have a list of 300 and it will distribute the load among those 300. Okay. So I can enable that. And it is giving me option either application or network or the classic load balancer. I can drop down and then my elastic load balancer target group I can attach underneath it, or I can simply do not pick it by myself. So what I'm suggesting to you guys to go do this by yourself, and then come back to me if you run into any issues. Okay, and I'll be happy to answer those questions. Okay. All right, so health checks optional if I wanted to, run any health checks for the load balancer or with the EC2 instances. Okay, health check grace period, that, amount of time the auto scaling until auto scale, like for 300 seconds is gonna check for, the request. And then, it will, come back to us, with an answer if it is responding back or not. Okay. Additional setting, if I wanted to enable any, monitoring or additional monitoring, for with the CloudWatch.
So, but before you go forward, I'm
Yes.
sorry, too late. So when can you give me an example or give us an example where you wouldn't want to enable load balancing?
There is no specific reason behind it. It's just that, I don't want you guys to, mix up the load balancer with the auto scaling. So remember the 3 exercises which I talked about. So one, I wanted to do without the load balancer. The second one is that, we're gonna attach it behind the load balancer.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
But in a good practice, you'd want to every auto scaling should go behind the load balancer, so you can actually utilize all of them equally.
Yeah, exactly. But at times, let's put it this way, I don't want it to, limit your ability to just simply perform the exercise which I am showing. I want you guys to, to explore that as well. That's why, I am not adding it here. And the another reason is, if, all, let's say, we expanded to 7, those 7 will have the similar, web services running onto them. And either, I go and edit all those web servers and, change the file content so that, you can see, behind the load balancer, whenever you refresh, is going to show you a different page every time. Otherwise, if we have them all together, then you will not know that, these, like if it is being served by the web server 1 or web server, let's say 9 or web server 8. So that was another reason. But yeah, if time permits, I'm gonna, go do the load balancing, attach that, to the load balancing part as well for you guys. Okay, so next one is group size. Okay, so here it is talking about this area here. Okay, desired capacity, minimum capacity, and maximum capacity. Okay, minimum capacity is this. Let's say we have only one web server running. Okay, desired capacity, that I desire it to be, running optimally with 2. Okay, and the that's the desired capacity. And then maximum is, let's say my load start increasing, then take it, like, add 1 at a time or 2 at a time or maybe 4 at a time, or take it, let's say, from 1 to, let's say, 1000, or whatever the number, you have, in your mind, so you can, take it up to that number. So here it is asking us about, the group sizes. So let's say our current desired capacity, let's say our minimum capacity is this, desired capacity is this. Let me do this. Let's say our minimum capacity is this. Minimum capacity 3, desired are 4, and then maximum it can go up to 7. Okay. Now, what is the scaling policy? Okay, scaling policy, choose whether to use like dynamic resize, okay, to meet your demand. Okay, so target tracking is, if I click on it, and target tracking policy is based on these metrics. we can define our policy. Either the CPU utilization, let's say it goes up to certain number, let's say as soon as it goes 80% or 20% or 50%, or let's say maybe 90%, then let's say CPU utilization, let's say if it goes up to 90%, then instances need, let's say I need one more instance, and it needs 1 second to warm up before include into the metric. Let's say I need 60 seconds, of which is a minute, so it will warm up, or like it will start cloning that uh, the snapshot and turn it into a VM, or turn it into an instance, and then attach it to that to the auto scaling group. So this is the warm up period it require. Okay. uh, Based on CPU, we can do this. Based on network in, like how many requests are coming in, or network out, how many requests are going out of that instance, or let's say application load balancer, that how many requests per are coming per target. Let's say we set up, let's say I have I have not defined the target group yet, so let's say target values, let's say 90 are coming within a 60 seconds period, then launch a new one. Okay. This one is kind of difficult for me to to simulate for you guys, so I'm gonna just pick the CPU one, because I have a very small snippet here of a shell script. We're gonna run that will increase the CPU count from whatever the number is, all the way to 100%. Soon as it 100%, and we will see in the auto scaling group in the EC2 console, that it will start churning out more instances for us. Okay, so we set up let's say we set up here for 50%, and let's say we make it 1 second. All right, so instance scale in protection. In protection is protect from scale is enabled. Newly launched instances will be protected by default. So leave it as is, I think, for now. Right, so add notification. If I wanted to add a notification, so this will send me an SNS topic or SNS notification, either to let's say it sends me an email that your CPU has hit, let's say 60%. I'm launching one. It keep on staying at 60%, or maybe it increased to 80%, so I am launching two more. So it will send me if I set up that notification, it will it will notify me.
Does that aggregate all the instances to 50%, or does it look at a instance and if it reaches 50%, or how does that?
I believe it's an aggregate. I did a test on one instance for you guys just to see, how it goes. But right now we have 3 instances running. So let's see if we'll try to hit one instance to 100% and other 2 instances as, let's say, whatever the lower number is, and let's see if it generates any additional one or not. So we can look into that. That's a good question. Yes. All right, so I'm not creating any tag, so we'll just go next, review this, and I'm gonna. So 3 is my current, 4, and then 7. Okay. All right, so create the auto scaling group. So this is created. It is updating the capacity at this time. Let it finish its work. Okay. So it completed its work. There are 4 instances it is showing, and then desired capacity is 4. So if I quickly go to the EC2 dashboard, all right, so all right, so it has launched already 1, 2, 3, 4 instances already. It has launched soon as I hit enter. Okay. Do you guys remember how much of a CPU I set up there? Let's just check here real quick.
It was
50%.
50%. Okay. One thing that I have a 50% CPU at this time. I should not have that. Okay, if I run a top command. So right now my CPU is 0%. CPU utilization is 0% here. Right. So it has launched already. I think it has already gone to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 3. Why did it go directly to the maximum capacity? Although we do not have anything that is, bugging our CPU. If I go to the auto scaling group, I may have made a mistake in our configuration. That's why it just, took it to the maximum capacity right there for us. Okay. Let's just look into it or maybe edit that.
Faisalbhai, your desired capacity was set to 4, right? So that's the minimum.
Yeah, but Komalbhai, it actually launched. We already have 3 there, right? So it already
No,
launched.
you only had 1 because you didn't hit behind the load balancer. You disabled the load balancer configuration.
Oh, okay.
That was it.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. I thank you much. I confused it with the load balancer. Okay. Yeah. But even I still we have that the
Yeah, it's set to minimum 3, so that's why it's not taking the first one, the existing one, part of that group.
yeah. But the thing is, we said that average CPU at 50%.
Yeah,
CPU.
because your minimum is set to 3, it launched 3. And the first instance that you had, the existing one, the web server one, is not part of this group.
Got it. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you much. All right. So let me just cancel that in here. And so if I go to the EC2 dashboard here. Okay. So this is the first one which we cloned. Okay. And as our desired capacity is 4 and maximum is 7. So if I see the 1, 2, 3, and 4, it took us to the desired one. Okay. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna increase the load on one of our instance here, and let's see if it takes it to the level of 7. From 4 to 7. Or let me just do one thing. Okay. Let's just name it as auto scaling 1. It was created as part of the auto scaling 2, auto scaling 3, right? Auto scaling 4. So this is the desired capacity. Okay. Now I pick the first one, copy on it, and I'm gonna SSH into it. Okay. All right. Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just duplicate the session. I'm gonna put it side by side for you guys. Okay, I'm gonna run a top command here, showing me the CPU is right now at 0. And if I scroll down in here, I'll show you guys one more thing here. All right, so right now you're seeing, this many instances. Okay, so let me just quickly run this. Okay, so what it does is, and keep an eye out on the CPU. So CPU is increasing and it has gone to 100%. Okay, so this is on the first instance I did. Right now nothing's happening. Okay, I'm gonna go do the similar thing on our second instance. Let me just quickly refresh here. Okay, nothing's happening here. Copy this, go to the putty again. All right, so new session, come on. And I'll duplicate this session as well. just to show you guys. This one here, top is running. Keep an eye out on this area, CPU 0%. And here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna okay, I'm gonna run that script here as well. It's just a a small piece of the script. So see, it has gone to 80% and it has gone to 100%. All right, so the second instance has also gone to 100%. If I refresh it, nothing's happening so far. Third instance, gonna go do the similar thing. All right, so just bear with me, guys. All right, so load this one here. All right, so I'm gonna just quickly copy the piece of the script here. I run the top and it has already gone to 100%. That's the third instance. And I think the warm-up time we gave was 60 seconds, I guess. All right, so I copied this one here. On the top here, it has gone to 100% as well. All right, so all these instances are running 100%. Let's just go do this on this one as well, because I believe this is the one which was cloned.
So it's also looking at the auto-scaled instances to spin more.
Yep, so it is, yes, it is looking into, yes, the aggregate of all those instances. And if that aggregate of the CPU is going, up to that point, it should be hitting that. Why is it not hitting now? Let me go check on this launch config. So it is showing me that it has successfully launched
No, that's the original one.
Yeah. Can we try turning on the load balancer and see?
No. If you go to this auto scaling section, that will the next tab. Auto scaling. Yeah. Let's see what that configuration is. 1 second.
It's required to maintain average CPU 50%, right? Enabled. Okay, and then
for what duration?
add more. Just quickly, I cannot edit that, right?
Go to monitoring. Let's see what the load is on the.
It has gone above. Why is it coming down?
I think you have it 60 seconds, some threshold for.
Shouldn't that be sustained? I don't think it's sustained. It's just doing a spike.
No, it is sustained. Hold on. It is sustained. It is 100%. I can add this one here because I'm not sure if this instance is, although we pick them all. So it's 100%, 100%. This one is 100%. This is as well. Yep, this is 100% as well. Okay. If I go back in here, so 1 second to warm up before including in metrics. If I just in the monitoring, why is it on the EC2 side? Why is it showing that it has come down? 48%. Which instance is this? If I go with the 1 hour, it has not gone to 100% yet. Yeah, no new instance has come out here. Okay. Something we missed here for the max capacity, because
Faisal, can you check in CloudTrail if there are any events?
okay. Give me 1 second. What I was going to check in here.
Is it because we have asked for 7 instances and all 7 are running by itself, including the 3 previous one and the 4th, all the 4 we added? I'm just thinking maybe it's the reason.
But they were not added there. I mean, we can look into that. If I just simply terminate these two, let's see if I terminate all these here.
And Faisal bhai, Murtaza brought up a good point on chat. The top is unreliable on the EC2s. So you probably want to check for an alternate command. HTOP, I haven't played with HTOP. I usually go to each EC2's monitoring tab to see the performance.
Yeah, we can go in there. We already here, so we can just quickly check here under the monitoring. Yeah, it's a good point. The CPU is, it's 100%. If I just refresh that, it is hitting 100% on one. Second as well, hitting 100%. Third as well.
That actually meets the criteria right there.
Yeah. The fourth one is shown 50%. Let me just go in there really quick. Would be the fourth one, which is not hitting. Maybe the reason. Okay, this could be check. Yeah, it's shown 100% in here. And that is running in the background somewhere. I guess I had that running. I can simply go there again and paste it. There in the monitoring. Okay, refresh it. All right, so it has hit 100%.
Okay, now it should trigger by, I think.
Yes. I refresh it here. Yes, here it is. 1, 2, and 3. 3 more hit here again. Right? You see that, these are all blank ones. They are initializing right now. So it has hit our maximum capacity. So one of them was shown 100% on that, but the monitoring section here was able to, tell us. Thank you, Murtaza, for this. I don't think I have the HTOP installed here. That does not come by default. Yep, HTOP is not here. Alrighty, so you guys see that, we have now 3 new instances added there for us, okay? So for the behind the load balancer one, my suggestion for you guys to go try that and, come back to me for, for any questions you have. It should be pretty straightforward. Okay, so automatic scaling, if I scroll down here, I'm sorry, instance management. So you see that I have, 7 instances now here, okay? All right, and I can do an action here, either detach or set to standby or, protection as well. All right, so I'm gonna leave them running. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna, because we already about at the top of the hour, are you guys clear on this exercise, what we just did?
Yep.
Yep.
Alrighty. Okay, so I'm gonna quickly go to the AWS CLI. All right, so let me just quickly pull that up here. All right, so what I'm doing here is I'm gonna just pick one instance. All right, let me go do this real quick. Second. Still have my other Linux running or not? All right, so right now I have 9 instances running. That means I'm going to be incurring charges of 90 hours. Okay. Be it I run it for 15 minutes or an hour, 90, like, 1 hour per instance, I'm going to be, so 9 hours actually, will be incurred on my EC2 bill. Okay, let me see if I have that, or you know what, I have quite a bit running on that as well. All right, so let's do this. Okay, let me just increase the size here. Appearances, changes, and let's make it 22, make it easier for you guys, okay? Okay, where is the, okay, so I already clicked on this here. Don't have it here. Just go do this again. All right, so AWS CLI, Amazon Web Services, CLI, command line interface. So what it does is, whatever we're doing in the console, whatever we did in the past, similar thing we can perform here in our, through the command line. Okay, so again, on this one, I'm going to show you how to do it in Linux. Windows, pretty much the similar process. I want you guys to install it on your Windows laptops or launch a Windows instance and then play around there. Okay, so how we do that? We have to install the AWS CLI package and then get that configured with one of the IAM user. We're going to be creating an IAM user and then using the secret and the key for the user, get that configured for this here, and then we'll perform a couple of operations here. Okay. Linux 64-bit. So what we have to do is curl, like we have to download this file and then unzip this file, and then we're gonna install this file. It's pretty straightforward, pretty simple process. Okay, so I am copying this line here. All right, so let's just quickly go to that Linux here. And I am in this directory. Let me make the AWS CLI, cd to AWS CLI here. All right, so I ran the curl, like I pasted the curl command. Come on, mouse. Huh. So it complete the first step, it complete the second step, which is unzipping. Now the third step is to install this. Hit enter, it will install it for me. Okay, now the AWS CLI is installed on my Linux machine here. Okay, when I clear the screen, I can just simply run which AWS. It tells me what is the path of it. Okay, it is in my path. So I'm going to just type AWS dash version. And this is the version. Okay. The %d or fg %. What's the command to bring it to the forefront? PSEF plus. The for loop running, so let me duplicate this session here. Oh, it's gonna take forever. That's what I was afraid of. Let me just quickly go to this Linux machine in here, which I created this morning. Just bear with me, guys. So I don't want to run it on that 100%. Okay, so now that we have AWS CLI installed, trust me, we're gonna be done in next 15 minutes with this exercise here, okay? All right, so we have that running which AWS. Okay, so if I just type AWS dash version, it is telling me this is our AWS CLI version we are running, okay? Now to configure that, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the console real quick, and then inside the console, I am going to, let me go do this one thing real quick here. So I'm gonna go to the services and I'm gonna search for IAM. It's gonna take me to the IAM console. Okay. Remember, we created a group, we created a user. I already have a user running, so let me just quickly show you guys. I created two users. One was Abbas F and another one was F Abbas. So I'm gonna just click on this F Abbas. I'm gonna go to the security credentials. So right now, I have the access key here, but the secret key is not, because it shows you for once only. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this. access key part and then create another access key. So it created one access key and the secret key, right? So I'm going to download the CSV and click close. So you see that it is, it has created a new one for me. Okay, so I'm going to use this. Let me just pull that up. All right, so we're going to be using this access key. We're going to be needing this access key and secret access key here to configure the AWS CLI. Okay, so the command is AWS configure. All right, so it is asking me for the access key ID, which is this. I'm going to copy that, paste it in here, and asking me for secret access key. Copy that, paste in here. What is the default region I wanted to, go perform any operation? So let's just pick this US East 1 because we have, a couple of instances running, so we can, go check that. Default format, you can pick JSON or you can pick text or you can pick YAML. So let's just pick JSON here. So now that we have AWS CLI configured, if I just type in the command, whatever the command, so let's say if I type AWS help, and it is going to give me the help menu here. What I wanted to do, let's say I need help on AWS EC2. So I can type AWS EC2 and then help. So it's gonna give me the EC2 help menu. Okay. Let's say if I go describe instance.
Hyphen describe.
Yeah. All right, so these are the instance descriptions I can get. So let's say we pick this describe instance state. I'm sorry. I can just type AWS EC2 describe instance state. So it's gonna go and check all those instances that I have, and it is telling me the state. Let's say I want the output in text format equals dash output space text. So it's going to give me a text output here. The previous output it was giving me, that's the default one, which is the JSON file format. Okay, so this is how JSON output looks like. I can go with dash output YAML, which is yet another markup language. That's how it is, or I can go and output in a table form.
Sir, how come I can't see your command that you're typing?
Are you not? Okay, I am so sorry about that. Let me go to this. It could be at the bottom of my screen. That may be the reason. Okay. All right. Increase the size a little more for you guys.
Thanks.
Sure. All right. So I can, perform any operations, from the command line here. If I just simply run this instant state. So since we have, a couple of instances running, so it has, state running, status has passed. What is the instance status here? Status is okay. And if I go down here, more details that, which availability zone it is in, what is the instance ID. So if I just copy this instance ID, just remember this last for 6699 or 6699C. If I go in here, go to my EC2 running instances. And if I go in here and search for 66992, so 6699C, okay? So ending 4, so this is the instance it is showing me the information about. It is in US East 1E. You see that it is in US East 1E. And other information I get for that. So this is the status I get. I can push the entire code through this AWS CLI. So let's say configure a VPC or create a VPC or create let's say create an an EC2 instance for me. So I can just simply, I have the code ready. I can just simply push it, from here. That's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is along with, several other tools. Sorry, where is it? Along with several other tools, we have another thing which is called um, Terraform. So Terraform has a similar capability. You can download Terraform here. There are some good installation and configuration examples on this link. I'm going to be uploading that right after this class. And then there are some additional commands here as well. So let me just quickly go and show you those commands. So for the installation and configuration, if I go to the next one here, so how we're going to configure install is, it's pretty straightforward. You download the zip package, you unzip that, and then you put the Terraform into that path. So instead of move, just copy Terraform into the path, and then Terraform is running for you. All right, so download, unzip, and then put it into the path, and then it's installed and it's running for you. So you can run the terraform dash version, so it will show you the version command, and similar thing, terraform command and then help, it'll give you the help as well. Okay, if I go down in here on my next slide, so here we have some code here. What it is doing is, so how Terraform work is, the file name has to be .tf, like .terraform. The extension is this. Here in this example, what we did is we created a VPC of this CIDR block, provider AWS, because Terraform works with multiple providers, all the cloud providers, plus on-prem providers as well. So go to terraform.io, or I think hashicorp.io, I guess. And and with that, let's say you want to do something on VMware, you get the code for VMware. You want to do something, let's say on Alibaba, you get something for Alibaba as well, that it talks to that. So it talks to several different vendors out there, be it cloud or be it on-prem or the cloud providers. So if I just simply go to the terraform.io, and let's say if I go to their document, so Terraform Cloud, Terraform Enterprise, there's a list of vendors you could play around with. Maybe I can go to their directly.
There was one that said Terraform providers. Would that be?
That I mean, it's been a while logging into their site. Yeah.
Should be in download, right? It should tell you.
Yeah. So here it is, these are, some of the providers here: Azure, AWS, Oracle, or they have like 200 plus, providers. If you see the list of providers, they have a whole lot of lists here that they can, you can work with. Like you can play with the MySQL or Azure Ops or, Netnix or, Checkpoint, like, 200 plus, vendors. You can use the similar Terraform code and, use that IAC capability to get your, infrastructure either going or modifying or, destroying whatever, the capability you want. So here, if I just simply go back in here, so what we did here is use the provider access key. So right now, this is a very basic code here. Okay. So what it's doing is, you provide your access key within that code, you provide the secret key within your code, but you can, it has the, capability of, creating those variables, like, your these access and secret keys, they are secure somewhere in other file, and then use that, variable to, call that out, call the variable, so that, let's say, if this file is, let's say, compromised or exposed to the outside world, your keys are still intact. okay? Because these keys, they are the one that actually grant you access to the, to the AWS infrastructure. So here the region, we pick, AP South 1 or Asia Pacific South 1. Resource is this, CIDR block is this, and give it a tag, save the file, and then run these commands, Terraform, format. So it auto formats and check for the formatting. Terraform init, you have to run it once. So init goes to the AWS and verify and validates that your access is working. And then Terraform plan is, let's say you created this main.tf, or let's say Faisal.tf, or index.tf, or let's say vpc.tf. Okay, so this file, it is going to check with the Terraform plan that all the content is right and all the formatting is correct, and then you can show that content. And I missed one command here. So yes, I think I lost one command in here. There was one more command. I can show you guys that command as well. So these two links, I mean, they are, some of the examples, and, I pulled those, pull the content, from there. The similar thing which I'm showing the slide, it is right here, right? So yes, the command which I'm missing is the Terraform apply. So what it does is you provide the Terraform apply, and it will, push that code to the cloud. So let us just do one thing here. Okay. I have already installed this because installation was, pretty straightforward process. I'm gonna behind this main.tf file. So right now, this access key and the secret key, they are the ones which I need to replace. All right, so I am going to replace this, and we'll show you soon as we hit that, and it will generate that for us. So I'm going to copy the access key. Come on, access key. All right, so, and I'm going to paste the secret key as well. All right, so it is pasted. So let's just create one in US East 2, and let's just make it, something different here. 182.188. Let's say 120.0/26. I'm going to name that as Terraform VPC. I'm going to enable the DNS support, and sorry, I'm going to disable the DNS support, and I'm going to enable the DNS hostname. Okay, so I save the file. Okay, and if I go to our spreadsheet here, so first is Terraform format, or FMT. Okay, it came up fine. Terraform init. Init, you have to do it once because it is going to go and check and download those plugins. All right, so init is telling me that it has initialized successfully. Our AWS CLI version is this. Okay, now I'm gonna run that Terraform plan. If I run this plan command, it is going to check. Let me just. So here inside the plan, what it is telling me. All right, so I hit the command here, Terraform plan. Okay, so it is refreshing whatever is in the in memory. It refresh that. Execution plan is this. Okay, so what we are doing, we are creating a VPC. Okay, ARN, which is Amazon resource name, it is unknown because it has not gone there yet. Assign the VPC's IP6 CIDR block. We are not working with the IP6, so that's why it is shown false. The CIDR block, remember, this is the block which we are assigning it to, and then the rest of the information. Here we are enabling the DNS hostname capability and disabling the DNS support here. Okay, and rest is all they're gonna come as default. And then tags, we are giving a name tag of Terraform VPC. Okay, plan is to add 1, 0 to change, and 0 to destroy. Okay, we are doing one task, which is to create this VPC. Okay, So we have this Terraform plan ready. So now we can just simply type Terraform apply. So before I apply, I am going to go to the console. Sorry. Come on, console. Or was it here as well? I think the console is here. Okay. And we are going, if I go back in here, and we are creating this, I think it was the US East. Okay. If I cat the main.tf file, we are creating in US East 2. Okay. Right now we are in US East 1, which is North Virginia, US East 2, which is the Ohio. I clicked in here and I am going to the VPC of East 2. Okay, so Ohio already has 2 VPCs running. One is training VPC and the one is, let's just name it as default VPC. Okay, so we have 2 VPCs already here. Okay, let's go and hit the Terraform apply command. All right, so it is asking me for a confirmation. I hit yes. As soon as I hit yes, it is creating this apply complete, resource one added, 0 change, 0 destroyed. If I go in here, refresh it, I should be seeing a third one. The third one is here, Terraform _ VPC. Remember, this is the name tag we gave, Terraform _ VPC. This is created, okay? And CIDR block was 182.188, okay? You see the 182.188, this is the CIDR block it created for us, okay? We did none of the changes we made. All what we did is we enable the DNS and enable and disable the DNS support. Like we enable the hostname and disable the DNS support. So when I go and look into the configs, I should be seeing those information, that information there. So this is how easy it is to push the code. Now, since the code is pushed, let's say if I just type there Terraform show, it will show me the current config which is currently there. Okay, so this is the one which actually it has performed that for me. Okay, now how to bring it down? So the simple command is Terraform destroy. Okay, I hit it. It's going to ask me for a confirmation that it is going to destroy that. Confirmation is enter the value. I hit yes. As soon as I hit yes, destruction, it's destroying this VPC and destruction complete after 0 seconds. If I go in here, refresh that, see that the VPC which we created is destroyed now. So this is how easy it is instead of us, going click and do that. So you can create the entire infrastructure, keep it handy for you. Whenever you want to play, just click on it. It's ready for you, or click and then it will just all, implode that for you. All right. So, all right. So coming back in here, this link is also in our slide deck, which you're gonna get right after this class. So this link talks about the installation. You already once you have that installed, you don't have to install it again and again. All right. So about the installation, and then what it is showing me here, it is performing a couple of things. Okay. I think I have that in the list in here. Okay. So yeah, after the user creation and everything, which we did already, come on. So Terraform file. So what we are provisioning here, okay. So this is, more complex Terraform examples. What this example is doing is going to create a VPC of this CIDR block. Is going to create a public subnet out of this CIDR block with this size, and then it's going to create a private subnet. Is going to create a security group for public and private instances, and it is going to launch 3 instances: one web server, one database, and net instance. Okay, so for all these, they have these file contents already here. So you can just create the, let's say, variables.tf, copy all this information, update your, AWS access key and, what is the default, and also update your AWS secret key. Okay. Update your region, which region, you want to create that, and then play around with it. So this is that one. And then for the VPC, they created another file for VPC. They named it as vpc.tf. For gateway, they have another file. So they created like, I think, some 6 or 7 files. Route file, net security gateway, and then web server, and then database server, security gateway, and then web server. This is the resource they're gonna be creating: database instance, net instance, whatever and whatnot. And then once
Faisal, can these TF files be chained?
yeah, you can edit that. Yes, I can show you that. So let's say, so see, we destroyed this. So let me just
No, that's fine. I mean, one after the other, main can call vpc.tf and rds.tf and stuff like that.
yes, the extension has to be TF. The
Yeah,
rest,
okay, got it.
Yeah,
Thank
Faisal,
you.
the question I had was, does the sequence matter? Can you? So
I think in this case it picks those files by the alphabetical order. So it goes with
if you were to create a VPC first as opposed to the instance, so if you were supposed to create an instance, then the group, the security group is not there, or does it look at the whole code in totality and then say, okay, this is what
I guess I believe it looks into the totality, and I believe somewhere here, yeah, here it is. Okay, so this variables file, it has that definition, region, path, key name, VPC, subnet public, subnet private, and then instances. So it goes with this variables file that has the access key and everything. I think when you run the plan command, it looks into all those contents and then finds out, hey, you know what, this is the file that has all these variables, and based on that, is gonna pick this, use the access key, secret key, these two to log in, go into this region, create this key path, create this key name, create this VPC, create the subnet, and then so I take my words back about the naming order, because take it as this example. Let's say you have not created a VPC yet, then how come you're creating a subnet inside it, right? Because the subnet has to be associated with the VPC, and VPC has to be created first, right? So yeah, so this is the order it goes with. Okay.
Yeah, or even creating an image, you have to have a
exactly
an instance there to create an image. So
correct.
Yeah, you're right.
Yes, and I've not tried that yet, and you might want to look into this. So one thing is Terraform plan. Once you hit the plan, so it is telling me the 16 to add, 0 change, 0 destroy, and then you apply. It will deploy them all. Here, this one looks very promising to me. I have not tried this. So this is, so what it does is it graphs out for you how things are going from one place, one instance size, or one security group to another security group, or database and all that. So you might want to look into this. One thing I would suggest, so after this, it shows you how to log in and then ping and validate that. One thing I would suggest here is EIP for net. Once you create the net instance, you need to have an EIP, and for this EIP, you're going to be incurring charges, 50 cents per EIP that you're going to be charged per day. Okay. So that is associated with the net instance. So when you create the net instance, you're going to be incur charges with this. So you might want to before you try and play around with this, so just keep this in your mind. Okay, so I'm gonna come back to my
EIPs. What's the full form, Faisal?
Let me show you there. Elastic IP, which is a public
Okay.
IP. Yeah.
Okay, I got it. Thank you, sir.
Associated with that. Okay. Right now I have 0 here in Ohio region. Okay. All right. So this concludes this section here. I know I was over about 20 minutes. Any questions that you guys may have?
So I would assume that anything that starts with an E first would be Elastic as far as AWS, or is that a bad assumption?
Faisal bhai, if I may just add one important step of Terraform.
Yes.
With Terraform, you can use, there is a remote exec module. You can, from Terraform, you can call pretty much any external program. If your application stack has dependencies where some external scripts needs to be run, some additional processes needs to be run, use the remote exec and call that. And that we just need to define that as part of your variables. That's it.
Perfect. You don't need to stick around with Terraform only, or if you feel that your organization is using something else, basic principles are the same. Okay, and you can do whatever you want to perform. But I would highly recommend to you guys to at least play around with with Terraform, come up with a code, and try to run the Terraform plan and see what error message are you getting and how do you go and fix it, right? Because not every code what you're seeing on the internet is like is bug free, or it is like you hit it and then you're done with that. Okay, so so yeah, play around with it as much as you can, because IAC, it's in fashion these days.
Faisal bhai, one last thing. There was a question for what type of questions would be expected in the exam, certification exam. So if you could speak give some examples of that, that would be helpful.
I don't have any example at this time, but I can just simply go in there. That's the easiest one, I think. AWS Cloud. I know people are practitioner, practitioner, and
Sample exams of the sample test. Yeah.
It's on the training website. You can take a look at it.
AWS Cloud Practitioner sample questions. Okay. There may be companies who are charging for it, but there are some organization or some people put it there onto the internet, free of charge, and you can get an idea around about that. I'm gonna be see, there is a practice exam here, so you can go there, run their practice exam. Here it is. Amazon also, I don't know if this some other site here, so they have some Amazon's practice exam list here as well. So yeah, you can get a list of practice exams, and I'm gonna find some more material for you guys related to the practice exams. As soon as I have it, I'll just send in your way. Not just only cloud practitioner, but if you are planning for the solutions architect associate exam, we'll get the information as well for you.
Udemy has a whole bunch of them.
Yes, Udemy has a quite a bit. One thing for Udemy, if you are purchasing anything from Udemy, just make sure that it is a recent one. Do not purchase like that were published 2018 or 2017. Get the latest one, because that will be based on the current exam format. Okay. All right. I am going to stop the live session here.